I'll never forget when I asked at the one service if Will remembered when Kennedy was killed. His mother came up to me and said, I was only 3 at the time. And that's when I realized I was old enough to be his father, Whew. Instead of a Bible study tonight, I've had some people ask us about the Philippines, why the Philippines, what are we going to do, that type of thing. And so I wanted to take some opportunity tonight just to share with you why the Philippines and approximately what we're going to be doing while we're in the Philippines. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming and supporting the mission. It's not our mission, it's the church's mission. And as we began doing this, we began it with the understanding it could not be the 10 or 11 of us doing it. It had to be the whole church. It had to be a church's mission. Also, we realized that we needed to be involved. We had to get some things to get people involved. So that's why we're having the fellowship activities, because we thought we really needed this type of involvement here at the church. Next week, believe it or not, you get to go to the bar. That's right. Next week, we're going to have bar here. A potato bar, a salad bar, and an ice cream bar. All right? So you get to go to the bar next week. So invite your friends to go to the bar with you. All right? That'll work. Why the Philippines? When I was a graduate from college, my roommate went to Botswana as a missionary to teach English in Botswana. Botswana is just above South Africa. He asked me if I would consider going also to Botswana, and I had no desire to go to Africa at the time. But the following year, I was at seminary, my very first year of seminary, and I was asked to start teaching English to a Vietnamese refugee family who came to Wake Forest, North Carolina. Now, this family who came was not the family we thought we were getting. We were supposed to have a family of 4 who spoke English. We received a family of 8 who could not say hello. This is before ESL was in the school system. And so I stepped up and I began to teach English as a second language. No one had ever taught me how to do this. I basically taught myself how to do it. Before long, I was writing materials that was being used in school systems throughout the United States. I was then asked by the Southern Baptist, now I'm sorry I used a bad word, I'm sorry. I was then asked by the Southern Baptist Foreign Mission Board, would I consider going overseas to the Philippines and teaching English at the refugee camp? And I agreed to go for 2 years as a missionary to the Philippines, where I worked at the Philippine Refugee Processing Center. This was a center of second asylum for people who had already been chosen to come to America, but they had to go through English training and cultural training before they came to America. I got over to the Philippines and began to find out more about my teaching of English second language, and said, well, we don't need you to teach English. We need you to teach plumbing. So for 3 months, I taught plumbing. If a Vietnamese, Cambodian, Laotian comes to your house to do plumbing, do not let them in. Finally, I did get into the English teaching department there, and I taught English for 2 years at the refugee camp. Now, we had one rule going to the Philippines. If you went as a missionary single, you had to come back single. I broke the rule. One rule, and I broke it. I came back. Some people bring back a T-shirt. I brought back a wife. Ariel and I came back, finished our seminary career, went on and started working in the churches. Everywhere we went, it seemed that refugees would find us and want us to work with them. But while we were in America in 1986, there became a need in the country of the Philippines for people who had disorders, medical disorders, mental disorders, physical disorders. It's not like it is here in America where we have schools throughout the United States. There, they did not have many schools, if any, for people in this situation. And then in the 90s, we had a situation where Ariel's nephew was born with autism. It wasn't a severe autism, but it was bad enough that we thought we needed to bring him to America to go to Gateway Center in Greensboro. That's where we were actually living at the time, and we thought, well, since there was one of the better schools for autism was actually in Greensboro, let's bring him to Greensboro. We could not get a visa. We waited for 7 years for a visa. Finally, we gave up on the visa, and we said, well, let's just start a school in the Philippines. Ariel's brother married a woman who had a degree in special education. He also had worked with children most of his life, and so they opened the Candid Learning House in the Philippines. Ariel and I became their banker, basically, because in the Philippines, interest rate today is still about 21 to 23%. You can't really get a loan. And so we got loans here in America, and we basically bankrolled the school beginning there in the Philippines. So they began the Candid Learning House basically for people with autism, but over time, some people who had other learning disabilities, who may have had some physical disabilities and other needs, began to go there as well. Now, we call it a school. It's actually a learning center. It's not a school in the sense that you know of school. It's a place to teach them so that they, when they leave home, can basically function. It's not like it is in America where you have a social welfare to take care of you. It's not like we're in America where we've got different organizations to help a person who has functional needs to take care of them. In the Philippines and Cambodia and Laos and Vietnam and all these other Asian countries, you don't have that kind of structure. It's basically on the families to try to find ways of taking care of the children for life. And so the whole idea is to teach these children how they can take care of themselves, how they can function. So they're teaching them life skills. They're taking them on camps so that they have to learn how to take care of themselves in a camping situation. They're taking them away from the city at times. Some of these children have never been away from Manila. Manila has 30 million people in Manila. Manila is about the size, square footage, probably of New York City. And so it's a large city, but it has probably about twice, if not more than twice, the number of people of New York City. So the school is functioning there in Manila in a place called Las Piñas, Manila, Metro Manila. And we are going to go and work in the school. Now, what are we going to do? Anything. How's that? Anything. We've got some things we know we're going to be doing. We know that they have a structure they need built, a stage area, because some of the kids play drums, some of them play instruments, but they do not have a place there to practice. So we're going to be putting a roofing system on top of the stage area that they have at a new building they have just purchased. Second, we know that the teachers need respite. They need a sub, all right? And so we're going to help do some respite care so the teachers can actually get away from the kids for a while and reflect on what they're doing. We're going to be doing some teaching of the teachers. We do have a couple people within our church who work with autism as a living. We have one going with us that works with autism as a living. And we're going to be doing some work with the teachers, helping them to better structure what they need to do. We're also going to be just spending time with the students. Some of these students are young. Some of them as young as maybe 10, 11 years of age. Some of them is as old as 22, 23 years of age. And I believe there's about 70 at this time at the school. And so we're going to be working with the kids, playing with them, playing ball with them, teaching them some games, perhaps just talking, being friends with them. You'll be amazed how many people in the Asian culture will not have friendship with someone who has a disability. It's out there. It's not like it is here. One of the things I have learned a long time ago in my time in the Philippines and then in Cambodia is children do not experience adults being able to play games with them. They need that. That's one of the things that happens at the school is the teachers actually have opportunities to play games with the kids. And it gives a whole different kind of structure to their lives. So that's some of what we're going to be doing. We have had one Skype call thus far with the Philippines, and in the Skype call, one of the things that came up was we mentioned that Carrie, for example, cuts hair. And they said, bring your scissors. Not only will you have the opportunity to do some cutting of hair, you have the opportunity of probably teaching some of the kids a life skill. Joey does things with the computer. Well, guess what they need there? They've got some old computers. I know they're old because we bought them 8 years ago. They need some updating. Joey's going to have an opportunity to use some of his skills doing that. Megan is an artist. You know, does everyone know Megan? Megan is Joey's other half, and she's going with us. She is an artist. If you want any kind of drawing done, maybe you have some animals at your home, you would love to have a drawing of your animals, see Megan. She'll do that for you, and she's looking for ways of raising some funds for her trip to the Philippines as well. So that's a possibility. So that's some of what we're going to be doing. A lot of it's open. We're going to find out a lot when we get there. The question is, where are we going to stay? I don't know. That's one reason my wife is in the Philippines right now. She is actually looking for the place that we're going to be staying at even as we speak. Now, Ariel and I do have a home in Las Piñas about 5 miles away from the school. And there's an opportunity, I think, probably for half of the team to stay at the house. If we did that, she's actually getting the house painted right now because she said she got there and she saw how the house looked, and she said, no one's going to look at this house until I get this house taken care of. And so it's being painted even as we speak. But we also know that there are some little micro hotels in the area. And when I say a micro hotel, I mean it's probably about the size of 2 of these tables put together for a room. So they're pretty small hotels. But there are some possibilities there for us to stay in. We've also looked at the possibility of having a house. There's a possibility some of the people there will loan us or let us rent out their house for them for the little bit extra money that they could use. So that's some of what we're looking at. We're also going to be looking at cooking some of our meals. With some of our meals, we'll be eating out. The total cost per person on the trip is $3,000. Some of our people have already raised all the money they need. Some of them on the team have raised half of what they need. Some of them have raised about 1/3 of what they need. So they're working, and they're working hard. This is, I think, the 8th meal we've had. We're also going to be having some other activities going on. June 27th, which is a very important day for me because I'll be 57 on that day. On June 27th, we're going to be having an auction. We're going to be having a barbecue. Kent Foster has agreed to do the barbecue for us. He's also going to try to set something up before that for some chicken barbecue. So we'll work on some other opportunities. Well, during the auction, we've got 2 auctioneers who's going to be doing the auction for us. What we need now is for you to clean out your house of some good, usable things that you think people might want to buy. And we've got a garage right out here that we can stick them in. So we're looking forward to that on June 27th. So women, if you know some things your husband has that you'd like to get rid of, good possibility. Any questions you'd like to ask me? I know better than the husbands try to get rid of the women's stuff. I know better than that. I've tried that. My wife had a drum. I don't know why she had a drum. She never used the drum. I sold the drum. I still hear about that drum, and that was 20-some years ago. Any questions? Yes. Nepal is actually closer to Afghanistan and India and Pakistan and that area. We're not anywhere near that. And we're also not going to be anywhere near where the tsunami hit in the Philippines. We will not be in that area. Now, we are going during the rainy season, which means that people will experience what it's like to see rain come up from the ground, come down from the air, come sideways from both sides at the same time for a couple hours. Yes. Forrest Gump had it right. That is how it is. I have actually seen water come from every direction. But only when it rains in the rainy season, you're talking about rain for about 2 hours a day, every day. And it's hard rain, but then it stops. And then you have a sauna because it's hot. We're talking about 100 degrees right now. Yes. Not to take. What we need to do probably is to provide a list, and we're going to be doing that, provide a list of some of the things we're going to need to buy when we're there. To take things overseas is very expensive. My wife and I send a box to the Philippines every 3 months, and we can send a box to the Philippines for about $100, and we're talking about a box about the size of this speaker, maybe a little bit bigger than this speaker. And it costs $100 to send it, and it takes 3 months to get there. So to take something in a suitcase is very expensive as well. We can take, we're allowed 2 suitcases each. I've asked each person to just take one because the rules are changing. Even as my wife left, she was told she could only take 1 suitcase, but when she got to the airport, she found out she could take 2. So things are changing on that. You cannot take more than 50 pounds per suitcase. And so it's better to buy things there. You can buy almost everything in country. I think Carrie says she's taking peanut butter. And a hat. Anything else? Yes. Yes. They have a list of things. Everyone that came to the meeting has a list of things they need to bring. Yes, there is. Anything else? We do covet your prayers. We do covet your support. Any way you can support us financially, prayers, bringing things for the auction. Any way you can support us, it'd be great. One of the things I noticed when I first came to Midway is that the major mission for this church has been the Opportunity House. I support the Opportunity House. I think it's a wonderful program. I also know it's time for us to have more than one mission in this church. And that's one of the things why we're doing this. We need to have more than one mission. For those of you that are not part of this team, you have an opportunity next year. We're already in talks with Ray about having a team to Costa Rica next year. So that's what's going to happen next year. May God be with you until we meet again. Amen.